Hello, my friends. We are live once again with I'm with Josana tonight, and I told you guys I'll be on this slot from now on, 9 p.m. Eastern. But me and Josana will be meeting weekly as well. Welcome. I'm glad to be doing this show with you, Josana. Welcome back, my friend. How you doing?
Hi, Nick. I'm so excited to be doing this with you. Thank you for jumping in this with me. I'm okay. I am happy to be back. We have so much to talk about. I can't wait.
Yeah, me and Josana, we wanted to do a show for a while. A lot of you guys know a lot of my focus is on foreign policy. I like to look outside of the borders and what's going on because I think being a member, living in the imperial core and living in the United States, we as citizens are negatively impacted by a lot of the decisions our government has made. But we actually owe it, and I also feel this way sincerely. We owe it as a show of solidarity with our international comrades to focus on the U.S. empire. Whenever I see people punt the ball, and whenever they, oh, I don't want to focus that much on foreign policy, that's them. As far as I'm concerned, turn their backs on their international allies. So, Josana, we're gonna have a good rotation of guests as well that can present news and their perspective from an international uh, perspective. So, I think like we call this the outsider view, right? Man, I'm black. I'm in America, but I'm definitely an outsider. I'm like everyone. I've definitely been blacklisted already. Josana, we talk about this all the time. The way and I'm gonna get your thoughts on this, Josana, before we move on, because you come to America. I'm trying to leave. But Josana comes into America, and Josana always tells me, like, man, I'm always so shocked at how like barbaric this country is. And I just want to pass to you, Josana. Let's get started with that. What's your perspective, like being an outsider and then seeing like this chaos that we are stuck with here?
I'm laughing because I'm like, I hear that like people, so why are you here? And I always say, to destroy the empire from the inside. um, Jokes apart, yeah, it's mesmerizing the how things that fly here don't fly anywhere else. You know what I mean? Like anywhere else, you would have a president do what Joe Biden's doing, and people wouldn't be living in the streets to protest the president. You wouldn't have old white men in southern states taking care and opinionating and creating laws to women's body without no pushback from the population. So the mentality that the politicians are above us and they are some sort of celebrity and people are like, oh my god, you see so cool, like
Maxine Waters can tell a group of
damn.
homeless people to go home. The way they talk to us with disdain, other countries will not take that. I was talking to Zoya, and we was talking about workers' rights and the rights they get in Russia, and they're like, when they see how we get ripped off as Americans, we don't get paid time, family off, family pay leave, and they get like a ton. Like they will revolt if they were asked to put up with the same thing our workers has done. We see how the French protest. We see the general strikes that pop up all over the world. There was some in South Korea and Colombia. The American people have a tolerance to accepting like evil and bad as the new normal. It drives me crazy. And Josana, like, I don't know why you guys take it. And I speak to a lot of my people in the global south, a lot of my other people I've been learning from, internationals. They don't understand why people still like just focus on electoralism instead of being in the streets. Right?
I I just tweeted like we live. um I think like it's impressive to see the lack of, and I don't understand where is it coming from, the lack of reaction as population, and the acceptance of everything that comes from the politicians down. Like when I see how people like treat them as real celebrities, like people get nervous and they like this one, they don't like that one, and they want to know what makeup they are wearing. Like, I want to know why your ass is not in your chair working for me. That's the only conversation we have to have with a politician. Where are the reforms? Where is the universal health care that y'all been promising for so long? Why the street population is becoming bigger and bigger? Why? Where's the housing that you're all been talking for so long, promising for so long? Why there are Americans that are going through starvation? This is the richest country in the world. Why there are Americans that cannot afford to have education? Like, we have to ask ourselves these questions, and we have to get angry. This is a moment where we have to get angry, and we have to question power. It's cultural in this country that people won't question authority. But they have to remember that we are the authority, we the people.
There are a lot of people that think, and actually, this is a probably common thought in Washington D.C. that like we work for politicians, that politicians working for us, and that's why we should continue to show up to their face the same way people show up to the face of Maxine Waters. And there are a lot of people who are cowards in this country. Big shout out to World Pilgrim. Oh yeah, big announcement. We did hit 15,000 subscribers. So much love to our community. We are growing, which is great. Which is great. Let's continue to spread the message. So I'm always look forward. I mean, you guys know I set that goal. I wanted to hit 15,000 by April 1st. So like after April 1st, I was like, all right, I'm already looking forward. Like I'm looking at RBN to 30K, RBN to 30,000. So that's the next one. So we can pat ourselves on the back,
So,
but I'm looking forward because we say some things on the channel that people need to hear. Like you gotta see the title of this video. The title of this video: Joe Biden is the bigger maniac. Everyone's talking about Vladimir Putin right now, and I'm not. I don't like Putin. He's an anti-communist. There's nothing to. I don't. There's nothing to celebrate regarding Putin. But I told you guys before, what is our responsibility as Marxists that live in an imperial core? Is it really revolutionary discipline to waste your time criticizing leaders that you have no influence over whatsoever? Or should you continue to criticize the country which is the greatest evil? And we got a few stories that we're gonna go over today that backs up this point. I want to show you guys what my man Nelson Mandela said. So let's start with this video.
Madiba.
Because a lot of people think I'm just some crazy radical. A lot of people look up to Nelson Mandela. White America, they love to look up to our black radicals. But then they will ignore what they say. They will ignore what MLK said. They will ignore what Muhammad Ali said. They want to ignore what Malcolm X and Fred Hampton said. But they love talking about them. So you guys want to hear what Nelson Mandela
They
believed?
love using them to call black people out.
Yeah, they do. Listen to this, guys. Let me mute my audio and then let's play this video.
If there is a country that has committed unspeakable atrocities in the world, it is the United States of America. They don't care. They don't care for human beings. 57 years ago, when Japan was retreating on all fronts, they decided to drop the atom bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki because they are so arrogant. They decided to kill innocent people in Japan who are still suffering from that. Who are they now to pretend that they are the policemen of the world?
So they pretend they like Nelson Mandela, but they never listen to what he actually says. Same with all our black revolutionary leaders. And that's the message of the channel. We're not going to allow ourselves to get distracted. In fact, I think it's the height of cowardice. There's nothing more cowardly than living in the country and paying taxes to a violent empire like the United States. And then you want to waste your time talking about the evils of Putin, the evils of Xi in China, the evils of Nicolas Maduro. There's nothing more cowardly. Call out your government. There are a lot of people pushing false flags, accusing Russia of using chemical weapons. In the United States, our police uses chemical weapons on their own people all the time. You guys know that? They call it tear gas. Look it up. Tear gas, when used in war, that's a war crime. Our government tear gases and uses chemical weapons on its own people. But you want to convince me that Putin is my enemy. There are people that really believe that. Josana, what you want to say?
No, I was just gonna say that, like, your country being tear gassing me since I understand myself as a child. In the 70s, your country, CIA, been killing innocent people, accusing them to be spies for the Soviet Union. There cannot be a count of how many people were killed in the dictatorships, the military government in the South America. Like, Putin never invaded my country.
Hey, I didn't see Russia colonizing Africa, guys. Look at the African colonizers map. I don't see a Russia flag there, so that ain't my business. Eric Thomas said, "True that he's an anti-communist and authoritarian, are good reason not to like him, but don't make him crazy or a villain." Now, I'll highlight this because I want you guys to realize they are doing that for a reason. When they hyperfixate on Putin and they try to make him seem like this evil demon, because it's easy to just create a boogeyman. It's easy to create, oh, they're just a bad guy. A lot of people would just want to live life in that simple way. Putin has an 80% approval rating, 70% maybe. Let's say 80% approval rating. Do you guys know that this military action by Putin was approved by his Senate? In the United States, the president can invade and bomb countries without authorization from his legislator. He got that. So just to pretend that this is Putin going crazy is a strategy by the state. So you don't think about the overall dealings and happenings of this conflict and their side of the story. You just want to paint someone as an evil, right? And that's what we don't. We keep our eye on empire. We keep our eye, what I tell you guys all the time. U.S. empire doesn't change between these puppet presidents. That's why I didn't think that Joe Biden was lesser to evil of Donald Trump, because everyone knew he was just going to continue Trump's policies, right? So, and this is what they do as well. So thank you for the comment style. They will shut you down if you do that. Tell you're doing a whataboutism. That is the technique of these cowards. Think about what they're saying. Whataboutism is negative if I'm trying to deflect criticism from myself, right? Nick, oh my God, Nick, you said something misogynistic. Wait, you can't blame me. Sal said something misogynistic. Well, what about you? You see the difference? You see what I did there? That's me deflecting responsibility from myself. Think about this. In this situation, I am a citizen demanding my government to be morally consistent. Where is this whataboutism? Where does it come in play? There's not whataboutism. I am challenging our government and our state and the liberal class and conservatives as well to show where you are morally consistent at. I'm not deflecting criticism for myself. I'm asking you, are you consistent? But it's crazy how they flip that into a negative, right? How can you condemn another country while you're doing evils?
I think we like when we get to also critical thinking is when we are like asking questions all the time about everything we see and observe, and we try to find the answers for it the most we can. Um, and I keep on asking myself, like, so economy went down. There is a deadly virus around. There is still a pandemic. We know nothing about this virus, right? And then suddenly there is a push for a war that actually started like 2014 or before.
Yeah, United States
And
already
then there is a
invaded.
push for a war that will create a villain. And they will have like celebrities singing songs and making fundraisers, refugees, and a couple. I remember I saw this couple got married one day before they went to fight the war for Ukraine. Like, what the fuck? Why is this happening? Who is the warlord of the world? Who profits from war? And who has a broken economy right now?
That's a good question. So why are we bringing this up? I want to show you guys this. This is crazy. So, despite the fact that we have a maniac, and this is why you guys got to keep bringing up the crimes of Joe Biden. We're gonna talk about Afghanistan here soon. I'm gonna do a story feature on Yemen here very soon. And now the reason why we do this because it seemed like people forgot. It seemed like people forgot, or maybe they forgetting on purpose. Check this out. This from this is a poll that came out on the Hill. 70% of Americans view Russia as their enemy. View Russia. 70% of Americans as we continue to send military aid to Ukraine while our people starve. We have a maniac that is funding multiple genocides as we speak. And you guys see, I say Americans are so basic. This is why I say we are the most propagandized country. Now you guys wondering why RBN is running hard the other way. I'm not allowing you guys to distract me. As I said, Putin, he didn't write the crime bill. Putin didn't get Wall Street corporate bailouts. Putin's not killing 3 Americans a day with fascist police force. You see how people are distracted? So we need an RBN to remind you guys what our country is doing. What's your reaction to that, Josana?
No, I
Americans
just keep.
see Putin as the enemy.
I was having a conversation the other day with a group of friends, and I like many of them were like, but we cannot care for things that are happening outside the country when so many bad things are happening here. The only day I will accept American exceptionalism or but we are suffering so much as an excuse is the day that I see that really Americans are busy in the streets fighting for their rights. Because so far, we are just sitting, watching everything play out and not asking questions. So, like, yes, I agree with you. We are in an agreement in this network to talk in the opposite of the current because we cannot not criticize just because this guy is less uh, talkative than the other. We cannot just stop criticizing and pushing politicians just because they made electoral politics in this country a football game where you pick a team. It's our job to criticize, to push them, and not to call them to go there and get it. All right?
So while people are viewing Putin as the enemy, and I would love to have a conversation with these people. Like, what is it that's Putin doing that negatively affecting your life? Is it the stress of the war crimes that he's committing? Is that it? Is wherever war crimes Putin is waging, is that sitting heavy on your conscience? Now remember what empire you are living on and who is your president. Now once again, look at the title of this video. Joe Biden is a bigger maniac than Putin because there's reports of civilian deaths in Ukraine, which is tragic. We don't want to see that. I'm anti-war and we don't want to see human suffering no matter what. But let's do a comparison. Let's do a comparison. So there have been a lot of reports how Russia has been aiming at facilities, giving advanced warnings, and any civilian casualty that has been happening has been unfortunate, but they have been doing a strategic operation with targeted areas that they are aiming at. The United States is very open with their strategy. The United States purposely aims at civilians in order to make the civilians upset and make them want to end the conflict by overthrowing the dictator the United States usually want to overthrow. The amount of Iraq, we killed 300,000 Iraqi citizens in the first few months of our occupation. Now, I don't even have to look into the past. While you guys are worried about Putin, look at what's going on right now. And it's been hilarious. It's been hilarious, Josana, watching liberals put the blue and yellow flag all over their social media profiles, right? They've been talking about Ukraine and pretending it's not even the top 3 humanitarian crisis, guys. Not even top 3. When you look at what's going on in Gaza, Yemen, and Afghanistan, there's a famine. 13,000 infants has died in Afghanistan because the United States has frozen billions in Afghan funds. So how did 13,000 infants die, guys? Now think about how horrific this is. So the famine in Afghanistan is so bad because the actions of the Biden administration in the United States that women who just had their children, they cannot produce enough breast milk to feed their kids. Baby formula? Hello? What is baby formula in Afghanistan right now with U.S. sanctions? So I'm going back to what I said earlier on in this video. If you are busy spending any moment of your fucking time talking about Putin and the evils of Putin, why your government does this, why our taxpayer money funds the psychopaths that is complicit with this, there is nothing that is more cowardly than that. And there's nothing that loses. There's no one else who has lack of respect, that had no respect for more than people who are spending their time criticizing Putin, but they are 100% okay with Biden and his administration. If you vote for the Democratic Party after spending this entire year having Putin derangement syndrome, you are a scum who I have no respect for. No respect for. There's nothing more cowardly than that. Coming out swinging today. Josiah, you have
Yeah,
any?
I just feel like it's I'm this voice, right? I'm in this position where like I live here, but I'm also an observer because I'm also an outsider. I migrated here when like in my adult life, and I like I keep on watching and seeing people just be in agreement with the foreign policies of this country, because when you turn your back on it, when you don't have criticism of the foreign policies in this country, of the immigration policies, when you don't have criticism of it, when you know that you are sponsoring them and you don't have criticism of it, or you don't take action to change it, so you're just like, yeah, I'm okay with it. It's not
With
my
that said,
house. It's not me. I have baby formula in Walgreens. I can just like, and and there is the petrodollar, whatever is the best way to pronounce that, crisis happening. It started with Gaddafi, that was assassinated because he was questioning and wanting to buy petroleum with gold. And now Saudi Arabia is starting to negotiate with China in accepting their money too. Saudi Arabia, the USA besties. Then the USA pause on Yemen. Then you'll keep on isolating yourselves. You're not asking in questions. You're not taking action. Your country is like transitioning to a very difficult moment. It sounds it's the same like right now when I go to the supermarket or whatever, when I talk to people, sounds just like the Brazil I grew up in. A Brazil of recession, a Brazil of hunger, a Brazil of like no conditions, a Brazil with nothing, no opportunities. Sorry, Nate, go ahead.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. Because I know let's say it like this as well. To also show the hypocrisy of this country, 'cause I know we also want to discuss the immigration issue. Um, let's look at the hypocrisy of this state, where now there are a lot of people who are hardliners on immigration, despite the fact that the United States would back dictators in Haiti for destabilize the countries of the global South and our Central American and South American brothers and sisters. We would destabilize those countries, and then over the last few years, we've been legally denying them their right to asylum. Donald Trump used COVID-19 as a reason, and liberals at the time, they freaked out because they were saying, "Oh, this is extreme xenophobia. You can't illegally uh, deny people with rights to asylum just because of COVID-19, because of a pandemic." That is what made them label Trump as a racist tyrant. That policy. A lot of people don't know it. There are a lot of crazy stuff that Trump did, but it was that policy in particular that made them call him a fascist. And then when Joe Biden took office, they immediately defended Trump's use in robbing people of their right to asylum. And they continued Trump's policies. And liberal establishment and the mainstream media, they called Donald Trump a fascist for implementing that same policy. He became silent. Now there's these same people that have this hard line, that chant build the wall, that believe in dividing the workers, right? They now found a heart for the Ukrainian people. So you have most Americans that agree that we should take Ukrainian refugees in now. Meanwhile, they was denying the right of Haitians. You even had Kamala Harris said Haitians do not come. So I want to pass it to Josiah. I know you have something to share. I want to give you the opportunity to break down and share the story. I have the video that you shared. Do you want to play it just for a few minutes here? So let's share this because Democracy Now! Actually broke this video for a few moments. So here, let me share this video with you guys. So we only watched just a few minutes of it.
The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Immigration officials say they're preparing to detain a surge of people traveling to the U.S.-Mexico border to seek humanitarian relief. In response to pressure from human rights advocates, today the CDC is expected to end the Trump-era pandemic border restriction called Title 42 that allowed authorities to deport asylum seekers without due process or reviewing their claims. Just 6 months ago, the world was shocked by images of mounted Border Patrol agents chasing, grabbing, whipping Haitian asylum seekers held back at the U.S.-Mexico border in Texas as they were blocked under the pretext of Title 42, under the pretext of the pandemic. A new report by the Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights and the Haitian Bridge Alliance documents the full scope of the abuses Haitians faced while they were held in a makeshift camp near the border under a bridge in Del Rio, Texas. They describe being subjected to violence, racial slurs, and intimidation, and denied sufficient access to food, water, and medical care. This comes as the United States has just announced it'll welcome up to 100,000 Ukrainian refugees fleeing the Russian invasion. When President Biden visited with Ukrainian refugees in Poland this past weekend, he was shown embracing a Ukrainian child. Darlene Joseph, executive director of the Haitian Bridge Alliance, tweeted this.
I think that's a good breakdown, right? But you guys see the contrast? Shocking, right? Josana, I want to get your thoughts.
You asked for it. So you have like this abusive relationship, right, of Americans with the Democrats, because every year, like every new Democratic president is the same thing. Americans have to vote Republican to make Democrats work, right? So much so that before Biden, everybody was the opposition. Every single person, AOC came flying to Brooklyn Bridge for the protesters, to defend the protesters, right? Always like that. They always work super hard. When it takes to the border, though, that gets to me. Because I have here like an interview I've done with a person that works within the border with Texas. And they wanted to speak on the children in the cages, because the children are still in concentration camps in American soil. So there is a series, like I went in more detail in that. There is a video from Facts and Fire with Afeni that I gave this interview. By that time, I was not in the network yet. But there are like, it's really horrible. It's what they go through inside of the facility is horrible. In this video from Democracy Now, there is a reporter, her name is Maria something, that she's covering the situation in the border, and she starts crying because she had this African boy coming from Kenya, I think, as a refugee. And she saw him in the jungle going through the river with the coyotes, all danger, because it's extremely dangerous. But she said that he was always so hopeful and saying, we got this, we're going to do this. And then he disappeared. She thought he was dead. She was really worried. She kept on looking for him. She got a message from him. He said, I made it. And I've had to turn myself in as a prisoner for 4 months. And I can never, ever, ever speak about what I went through again. So what they were saying in the video is that they wish that Kenyan children, Cameroonian children, Mexican children could also be embraced by President Biden, in the opposite of being in concentration camps.
It's offensive to me. This is why I push back strongly against anyone who pushes the lesser two evils. You guys saw what happened when we had Howie Hawkins that tried to do that. You not? No. White people, we're done with that. And if you're a brother and you're a sister, if you're black and brown, if you're of a colonized people, and you are going along with this shit of them devaluing our lives, them playing the worthy victim, what the hell is wrong with you? You need to develop self-respect. And that is what we want our brothers and sisters to have at RBN. We won't allow them to devalue our lives. So when you have our country that welcomes 100,000 Ukrainian refugees, but they deny black and brown people in the border, even though we destabilized Haiti, we backed dictators. Hillary Clinton destroyed that country. We broke that down many times on the show before. They robbed Haiti after the 2010 earthquake. Neoliberalism in the West destroyed the same countries that then they flee and they have a legal right to asylum here, and we deny them. But then they feel like we had an obligation to take in Ukrainian refugees. Why do they feel like they have that obligation? Because they see a blonde hair, blue-eyed person that they find and they see as a brother. And you guys see the emotions on Josana's face. You see the emotion that we have when we talk about these things. Because we see when I see these black and brown people having their rights destroyed at the border, migrants being sexually assaulted, them having forced labor, being beaten. Like, to us, we had the same response as you guys have when you guys see Ukrainians being bombed. These are our brothers and sisters. And to me, it's offensive when anyone tries to label that as the lesser evil. And it's beyond me. It's beyond me when I see my black and brown brothers and sisters go along with it. When I see them go along and say, oh, well, we got to vote for Joe Biden or there's Donald Trump, you're devaluing your life. I would tell people, there's no one that has been more anti-black in the modern American history than Joe Biden. So you calling Joe Biden a lesser of two evils as a black person, you're just saying your life doesn't matter. Your life, I accurately told people, the people who are saying that Joe Biden was lesser of two evil, you have suburban white people. You have black people going along with this shit. If you're a white suburbanite, yes, Biden might be the lesser of two evil than Trump. Because you see how Biden put people back to sleep? So that's good for them. They know Biden's going to expand the police state. They know they're going to expand ICE. They know they're going to expand the war machine that only benefits white America. But you as a black man is repeating this nonsense. You as a black man is wasting your time going after Putin when our government is filled with psychopaths that is continuing to fund the police more, that's killing 3 people per day. We imprison 1/4 of the world's prison population. But you think you live in the land of free? You think you got a First Amendment right? They can break in your house. Amir Locke killers were just let off. They just let Amir Locke's killer off. They did a no knock warrant, had the wrong house, killed the wrong people. They said, no, we can legally do that in this country. We can legally knock down your door, wave in the fofo, and blow your brains out. If we had the wrong people, you still can't hold us accountable. That's how gangster our government is. But you guys want to spend your time talking about Putin? Have some self-respect. It's so ugly to me when I see black people go along with this shit. No one else can say it. We can say it at RBN. When I see
put here the picture. Put here the picture of they saying like, oh, sorry, black volunteers, Ukrainian people are gonna call you the N-word.
I didn't report on that yet. Do you have the link?
Right? And like I feel like
if you guys haven't, I'm gonna find. I don't have the link.
Do you know? Like I just want to go through the interview while we find the link.
Yeah. Go ahead. Let's go ahead. But if you guys don't know what we're talking about, there was warnings that if you're black, do not go volunteer in Ukraine because they will call you monkey, they will call you a nigger, and they will dehumanize you. But this is the side that they want us to cheer for. They want us to cheer for the Nazis. But sorry, go ahead, Josana.
So, do you guys know that the immigration facilities have no supervision? So the cops there can do whatever they want with anyone they want to do anything. Even the children. The 2,500 children that disappeared from the cages were not encountered because they go in the black market of adoption. These are the children that are white passing. Do you know that there are also indigenous children that don't speak nor English nor Spanish, and they are in the cages as well, and they are learning this language through a cop. And also, do you know that they know that immigrants don't go against the law? So they suffer from starvation, and they enter the system. So they accept, they give themselves in, and then they are so afraid that they accept to work in farms wearing that thing in the ankle bracelet, and working in farms for $1 per hour. Slavery. Right? With the ankle bracelet. So if they run away, the cops that were created to catch slaves will catch them. I have more things to go through. This interview is enormous, but you go. Go ahead, Nick, if you found the link. Just show it for us.
Yeah, I want to show you guys this. Excuse me. Support Ukraine, they said. There's no Nazis, they've said. So this is from the Peace Corps. Possible considerations for African American or Black volunteers. People of color face many challenges living in Ukraine. No Nazis, they said. For modern parts of Ukraine, however, there are many Ukrainians who never seen they never seen a Black person before. Their understanding of African American culture is fueled by the media and African stereotypes. You will generate a lot of interest and curious stares. We all hear them places that you probably don't want to travel to. We all knew Ukraine before with racist motherfucker. That's like they did exposés. They used to talk about this all the time in the media. They used to talk about this all the time in the media. How Ukraine is a safe haven, almost like a motherland for white supremacists. How you have like Klan members, neo-Nazis from the West. They will go to Ukraine, but then the West immediately decided to forget this as of February of this year. All of this history, the racism of Ukraine, and the history of the Azov Battalion, and of them bombing the people of the Donbass and committing ethnic cleansing of the Russian-speaking people of Ukraine, which is about 1 out of 3. They don't tell you that either. 1 out of 3. Thank you for the super chat. I guess we can read some chats too. Thank you for the $10 Troy. See the video, George Carlin. You have no rights if you believe that you do look up. You have Japanese American internment camps when they took away houses, land, bank accounts, and drained from. Yeah, we are literally witnessing the police state expanding. They completely stole our First Amendment rights, Second Amendment rights, and Fourth Amendment rights. People still think we have those. Isn't that hilarious, guys? People still think we have a First Amendment. Julian Assange is being prosecuted. People think we got a First Amendment. You had Joe Biden, and you had the police that was illegally seizing guns of activists last year. A lot of people didn't cover the story. I did. Joe Biden tried to pass an executive order that will allow the police to do that. We don't have no Fourth Amendment rights. We don't have any Second Amendment rights. If the police can shoot you because you have a gun and that's probable cause, we don't have a Second Amendment. The Fifth is gone too. So got a lot. You guys see how propagandized the state is? The United States is so propagandized. There are people that think we still have the Bill of Rights, so that shit still applies. There are people in this country that think we banned slavery. There are people that think the 13th Amendment banned slavery. It didn't. It did not ban slavery. We still got prison slave labor. They just changed the definition of it. You know, they force migrants to, and I reported this a while ago. Maybe I can find the story. Migrants at ICE detention centers was forced into labor, and those who didn't was beaten. Those were one of those stories that was like buried in the media. You had whistleblowers, migrants that have been trying to tell the stories, And then ICE would just lie. People would say, "Oh, how can they get away with stuff like that?" Okay, what's the process? They make a complaint, it goes to the higher ups, and they're like, "Oh, nothing to see here." That's what happened. I want to get Josiah. You have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I was reading here that this person in the facility told me a PhD Iranian friend was arrested in Canada and understood he had to show he has no value in order to be accepted by the system. A PhD from an Iranian PhD, a PhD person from Iran, okay, understood that he had to show that he has no value so he could be accepted by the system. A system that is picking people of color, black people, indigenous people, and in the border to work as slaves. And the children, you're gonna have to do your own homework. What are they doing with these children? The manager that was taking the children just suicide in jail.
So yeah, we live in it right now, guys. Imagine if in Russia there's video of like Russian police taking protesters in unmarked vans and arrested them, and then there were stories of the people who was arrested in unmarked vans was harassed by the police afterwards. There's people who was arrested during the Portland protests and during the George Floyd protests who was put in those vans. They later said they were like, we kept getting pulled over. They kept getting arrested by the cops. So what do they do? How do they have their information? One of them, like, how they know it's my car? Like, do they take their plate? Like, what do they do? So what happened to that Fifth Amendment? I love talking to people who think we still got rights in this country. We got, like George Carlin said, we got temporary allowances. We are temporarily allowed to do some things sometimes if our government feels like it, right?
I feel like I always wanted to ask people that. It's a genuine question. What, and you guys can answer in the comments and we keep on going with this conversation. And I will ask you, you can answer, Nick, you're an American. Why? What are you guys waiting to take action? Like, what is this that is preventing people to be in the streets? What? Because there's nothing to. I don't think there's nothing else to be lost. We lost our self-respect. We don't make the money that the propaganda says that we're gonna make. We are. We see the men that that co-opted so many revolutionary speeches, so many radical speeches, right? To sit his ass face on TV and say that we have to fund the police more. And y'all don't know that y'all have to understand.
Go out, Queen. I do it all the time.
You have to understand that this man is sitting on TV to threaten us because he knows about the cries. He knows we're not getting what we need. He knows we are feeling pressured and we're ready and we're getting more and more ready to bring change. So he sits on TV with his ass face and look at all of us and says, we're gonna fund the police more because we're gonna need y'all to keep working very quiet. But it's like this old white man, and ice cream. We're gonna fund the police. I'm a nice man. Oh, see, he's not speaking like Trump. He's a good person. Seriously, America? Seriously. A person that speaks English like I do gets it.
You guys want to see how crazy and how gangster our government is? Why I don't want to waste my time complain. People wasting time complaining about against Putin. 70% of Americans, as we showed, thinks Putin is their enemy. In the middle of a pandemic, the Democratic Party pretended that it was going to take care of the people. Biden wants to give 163 times more to the U.S. military than the global pandemic response. People are finally starting to wake up because there was the headline where people actually I got to pull it up where people like Biden expanding the military budget is directly harming our lives. People are starting to wake up to this. Check this out. Congress expected to increase Biden's $813 billion military budget. So they about give him more than he asked for a second time. Then Joe Biden took the money from the CARES Act and the money that's supposed to go for the pandemic response. Then he gave it to the police more instead of giving people health care, housing, helping them increase their wages, giving them a UBI, expanding their unemployment so they will have more negotiation power against the managers and the bosses instead of illegally cutting unemployment benefit, which actually decreases our negotiation power, which allows Applebee's CEOs and other business scumbags to decrease our wages because they know people are more desperate. Everything our government do is a class war, guys, and that is what I want you guys to understand. That is what I want you guys to understand. While they're waging the class war and they are doing it aggressively, they want you to have an enemy in Putin. And Americans are so basic. Here, I'll pull it up again. Americans are so basic, they fell for it. 70% of Americans, here it is. Just for the new viewers, if you guys didn't see me share it earlier, they fell for it. 70% of Americans view Russia as their enemy. Instead of our ruling class that are taking our money, funneling it to the police, funneling it to Wall Street, funneling it to weapon defense contractors, we are being robbed. Like Josiah said, why are people not in the streets? Billionaires made trillions of dollars last year during a recession. Well, our wages have fallen because of inflation. But people are just taking it. They're making record profits. They are price gouging us right now. People are just taking it.
Nick, would you share the video in the last link I posted in the chat? It's the last link.
Here, let me pull it up. All right, yeah, let's play this one.
Yeah, because then I have a proposal, and I will use this video.
All right, we can transition to this. We can transition to the story now. So there was just a report. I need to look into this. So let's do this video.
It's a quick video. It's a small video. It's just a little clip.
Here, all right. I'm sorry. Let me fix the audio. Let's play this video and then we break it down.
I'm gonna.
I gotta fix the audio.
Okay. It's because I want to use it because I want to make a proposal to y'all.
Sugarcoating the fact that we have done far too little until now, and to use a typical Irish expression, I wouldn't start from here. It's 30 years ago since the first climate change treaty in Rio in 1992, when we didn't fully know. We'd had the first IPCC report, which said you got to act, people. We're now on the sixth one. And we still haven't done enough in anywhere, but in Europe and rich countries in particular, we've made some progress. And to be fair, the technology's advanced. So look, this environmentalists hate saying this, but this is kind of our last chance. We hate saying it because, if the next report comes out in 3 years' time and we haven't acted, well, you can tell me why. But it really does seem to be, it's actually the chief scientist, the chair of the IPCC stole my line. I was just reading his press release. He said it's now or never. And I think that is the takeaway from this.
So 1.5 degrees was this figure that we were always being quoted. We have to stop the world, the global temperature on average increasing by over 1.5 degrees. I understand that this has only been published in the last hour. So we're all kind of trying to get our heads around it as much as we can, as quickly as we can. There seems to be a suggestion we will go above 1.5 degrees, but by adaptation of behavior and through new technology, we can then bring it back down below. Is that it?
Yes, I think from our reading, and my colleague was still going through the detail to confirm this as I left home today. It looks like all the scenarios they paint different scenarios. They'd all see us going over 1.5, or almost all of them. We weren't quite sure if we'd see us going over 1.5 some degree. But that in the better case scenarios, which means where we act more and faster, we can bring it back down below 1.5 this century.
So does that mean, and apologies to interrupt you, but does that mean that there is going to be some short-term pain? I mean, what happens when we tip over 1.5 degrees? I know it's not kind of an overnight sudden catastrophe, but not, there must be some ramifications.
I was going to say it's not a switch, but actually, if we go much higher than that, it can be, as in there are these things called tipping points. Whereas if you know, if the tundra across the top of Canada and Russia melts, then it releases all the methane trapped in the bogs, and then we're kind of in a vicious cycle. But there's no, like, it's not magic 1.499 and 1.5. And so the key takeaway is, like, every degree counts, and every 10th of a degree counts. So before Paris in 2015, we were
Is that good? I think that's a good summary.
Now or never, right?
But people want to still want to advocate for incrementalism. There was this big ice wall shelf that melted, that's starting to melt in the North Pole, and scientists was like, "Holy shit, that's not supposed to be melting yet." There are a lot of people who don't know that we are in the climate crisis right now. There are fishing markets all over the world right now that are being destabilized because the ocean acidification is getting so bad, it is wiping out fishing populations. A lot of areas in Southwest Asia is already suffering because of this. So a lot of people, there are people actually say, "Oh my God, they've been warning about climate change forever. They've been warning about the climate crisis forever." Guys, it's been already happening. We already living through the consequences. Our water is being poisoned. In disenfranchised communities, there's been areas where they're not able to have pure water as they used to. There's more droughts that lead to more famine in different areas that lead to migration crises. It's happening right now. So there are people that pretending that's still like hypothetical. No, it's not. Like we are feeling the consequences right now, right? But go ahead, Rosanna.
Have you realized that the CNN, I don't know who was asking the questions. I just saw the symbol in the microphone. I don't remember. But have you realized that the moment that the reporter is trying to push the scientist into gaslighting people, and the scientist was like, no, you are wrong. Like, because the reporter said, yeah, you're saying that we only have 3 years until 2025 to, like, reduce the emission before we all die. But what if I heard that you guys are making, like, machines that would take the pollution out of the air and like it's, and then the guy was like, do you think if we had machines like that we wouldn't be using by now? Don't you think? So, like, there is a tentative of the reporter to gaslight people and put the whole time in the video, he's been pushing the scientist to gaslight people, and the scientist is like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell the truth. And I mean, are we going to see this change that we need to see to survive in the world as human race? By trusting Democrats?
This is the fucked up thing. The capitalist class is gonna survive no matter what. they're gonna survive. They already know there's gonna be mass migration crises because of the droughts. That you're gonna see a destabilization of many different communities, but these are disenfranchised communities. The rich, they can always move, they can always leave. And there are a lot of people that was gaslighting, like Noam Chomsky, that say you gotta vote because of the climate crisis. But what did I just tell you? Look at this headline. I'm gonna read it again. Here, check this out. Congress expected to increase Biden's $813 billion military budget. The largest polluter in human history is the U.S. military. The largest polluter. So if you are not taking on our war machine, if you're not taking on our corporate class, you are not serious about climate change. The top 1% is responsible for 70% plus of the emissions. So there are a lot of liberals who they ignore the military. They ask people to make personal sacrifices. No, you're not serious about addressing the climate crisis unless you want to eat the rich and abolish the military. Shrink the military by at least 70%. At least 70%. Not this 10% bullshit that Bernie proposed. I mean, that's a good start. That's better than all the other senators, right? But you gotta cut it by at least 70%. Here,
Don't trust no proposals that will have. Sorry, Nick.
Go ahead.
Don't trust no proposals from Bernie, not from Little Bunny, not from your mom in 2022. This is election year. They're gonna promise that they're gonna come to the border, get the babies, and take care of them themselves, just to get elected. Do not trust. This is not the year for that.
Look at this. The U.S. military is a bigger polluter than more than 100 countries combined. So don't fall for the shit lib talking points on this. They are actually counterproductive, and they turn people off. They will ask the working class to stop using straws. You gotta start driving your car. No, fuck these personal sacrifices they're asking us to do. We need to wage class war because the top 1% is responsible for 70% of global emissions. They are the ones who are driving this crisis. The military is polluting more than anyone else. So before the working class is asked to sacrifice, we ask the rich to change their lifestyle. We need to change the way we do our society. Stop this endless imperialism that essentially endless polluting. Right? If we control the means of production, there would be less pollution. We would be more environmentally conscious. Meanwhile, the U.S. military, I can pull this. I'll show you guys this. The U.S. military has been poisoning communities all over this country, and no one reported on this, as if it's not breaking as fuck. Like this was last year. No one covered the story. The U.S. military, they have been dumping their toxic chemicals, their forever chemicals like AFF that you literally can't burn it. They still was burning it into the atmosphere. This forever chemical got into the water, and it was causing birth defects. It was causing learning disabilities, and God knows what else. I don't want to cover the whole story again, but this is what our military is doing. This is what our ruling class is doing. This is how this is a Marxist approach on how we challenge this climate crisis. Because it's already too late. Guys, I hope you guys realize it's already too late to stop. You got fucking bullshit progressives that are pushing incrementalism. We need to change how our society is ran. We need to see the means of production so we can get the climate crisis under control, because the capitalists will not do it. The capitalists will continue to poison our communities if they control the means of production in order to save a buck, because they don't live in communities. If you look at that story, guess who has been impacted the most? It was all black neighborhoods, because they know they can get away with it. They're not poisoning their community; they poison ours. But
my thoughts are like, now that we know that we have 3 years, and now that we know that they won't change their course, can we be like, we have nothing else to lose, we're going to go and take action? Because this is also the right year to take action. We need, as a people and as organizers, hi, Vi, we need to take action. We need to understand the strategy of things. We need to use this year as an election year in our favor, and go to the streets and take action and cancel and do stuff, instead of get distracted by the Zelenskyy is a hero kind of situation. Especially if you're Black. This war is never your war. This is them playing in the backyard. their backyard. This is not your war. Go ahead, Nick.
And I love that you said that. I learned from Muhammad Ali. Remember what Muhammad Ali said? He was probably one of my favorite humans, guys. As a martial artist, I know he was one of my biggest heroes. The Viet Cong never called me a nigger. Shocking, isn't it? But it's true. Why we as black people will be invested fighting against the Russians? Putin in Russia didn't colonize Africa. Show me the African flag. Show me the Russian flag in African territory. Don't worry, I'll wait. Do you guys know the USSR helped spread propaganda for the civil rights movement? Do I think they did it in the kindness of their hearts? Probably not, because they wanted to make the United States look bad. So they used to spread the information of the civil rights movement to the world, because they like, look at how the United States is treating their black people. They want to judge us, but look how they treating us. Come on. Oh, you about to distract me. But we can get to that later. We can get to that later. All right, damn, that fucks me all the way up. But anyway, so the USSR stood up for the civil rights movement by showing our information when the United States government had a pretty much whitelisted, blacklisted, probably the best word. They wouldn't air the violent images of the civil rights movement. They wouldn't tell the truth. USSR took pictures and spread it everywhere. I'm not saying they're great, but if you're black, what the hell are you doing if you're taking the side of the colonizers versus Russia? I know that makes some people uncomfortable, but this is a black network, and we're going to give you our point of view. It doesn't make sense. Now, we talk about how the military poisoned our water, and I saw you guys mentioning this in the chat. We covered this when this happened as well. This happened this year. U.S. Navy literally poisoning the water of indigenous Hawaiians. They're poisoning our shit, but you guys want to fight Russia. That's clown shit to me. That's clown shit. So, we about an hour in. Do you want to do another story? Do you want to read some comments? How you want to wrap up? This is a pretty good show. What do you want to do, Josana?
Yeah, I think I just want to ask all of you to just ask yourself this question. If we have nothing else to lose, if we're doomed, why are we not trying to just, for once, to get things the way we want them to be, to get our rights, to be heard? Yeah, I think we can read comments.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I actually didn't do the Zelenskyy story, but I might save it for another stream.
Let's do the Zelenskyy story.
Oh yeah, all right, let's do it. There's so much that I want to talk about in Ukraine. I was sick, man. So,
we need to bring Ultraviolet and Zoya and sit with them and have a Ukrainian conversation.
Zelenskyy literally sold out his country to the West. Like he literally met with NATO in the West, and they was like, we're not gonna let you join NATO, right? But we gonna pretend that we are, so Russia can invade their country. You okay with that? And Zelenskyy was like, bad. I'm good. You guys know Zelenskyy is in the Panama Papers, and the Ukraine has the most public officials listed in the Panama Papers. So before February of this year, everyone knew about the corruption in Ukraine. Ukraine was historically known. Let me see if I can find here it is. I'm gonna share this link for you guys for this guy who believed Pandora. All right, so the Pandora Papers. I see people correcting me. So this is my coverage at the time. So for all the Zelenskyy fanboys and the people who forgot what Ukraine was before this invasion, there's a lot of people, their memory and their amnesia of anything happened before February of this year is unbelievable. So I say, for years, Ukraine was considered one of the most corrupt countries. Zelenskyy was in the Pandora Papers. He sold his people out to the West, and they rehabilitated him. Deal with the headline. Excuse me. Pandora Papers reveal offshore holdings of Ukrainian president and his inner circle. So what if you dive into the story, which I did, they was literally funneling Ukrainian money. They held them in offshore accounts, and they were stealing from the Ukrainian people. Literally stealing from them and giving the money to oligarchs like Joe Biden's son. Where they was paying him, like, what is it? Insane amount of money, like 80 grand a month to stay on energy companies so they will shut up about this kind of shit. But I covered that before. Like, Zelenskyy is about as corrupt as it gets. Like, he became, like, imagine becoming a public servant, and then you all of a sudden worth $100 million. Like, he became rich. Like, he was already somewhat wealthy, but he went from somewhat wealthy as an actor, and all of a sudden he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. That's a massive amount of corruption, guys. But I guess now I get into what I really want to talk about with Zelenskyy. So I want to show you guys this. So Zelenskyy has sold out his people in order to become friends with the West. He's going to be taken care of for the rest of his life, no matter what happens. Like, if worse comes to worse, he had to flee Ukraine, they're going to take care of him. He already rich. He already talked about how he sold out to the West. Now he's more than happy to turn Ukraine into an Afghan state. And Zelenskyy, despite the fact that so many liberals are pretending that they are fighting for democracy, this is Zelenskyy himself saying that he wants to emulate Israel. Zelenskyy, after this war, has aims to create an apartheid state. And I tweeted about this. There were a lot of people like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Because a lot of people don't know the history of this conflict, right? A lot of people believe that this conflict started when Putin invaded in February. No, the United States overthrew a democratically elected government by arming neo-Nazis. Their sovereignty been interfered with. And then the extreme Nazi side, excuse me, started shelling and bombing Eastern Ukrainians in the Donbass, killing up to 14,000 of them because they revolted and they didn't want to be part of a country that was pretty much a puppet of the West, that had the CIA training and recruiting Nazis. Remember, 1/3 of Ukraine is ethnic Russian, a lot of them in Eastern Ukraine. Think about the history that Russians have with Nazis. Nazis killed millions of Russians in their lifetime. So, of course, when the West sponsored a coup in Ukraine and backed the Nazis, they said, all right, fuck y'all, we're out. And when they started bombing these ethnic Russians. So now Zelenskyy is saying, instead of simply just giving to Russia's demand of having a neutral Ukraine, which will benefit everyone, and like NATO and the U.S. West was saying, you're not going to join us. We just want to create a hostile Afghanistan-like situation, and Zelenskyy is 100% okay with this. This is why he's saying you want to have the Israel model. Now, what does the Israel model mean in this context? You have a bunch of ethnic Russians in the Donbass, in Kiev, that want to be independent. He wants to create a situation just like we have in Israel-Palestine, where he ethnically cleansing Russian-speaking Ukrainians. You have a militarized region. He talked about he want militarized regions, checkpoints, people armed in order to prevent a Russian invasion. Why? Because he want Ukraine in NATO. He want Ukraine to be a vassal Western state. He sold out his people in order to create a region filled with nonstop conflict, instead of accepting the terms of Russia, which is neutrality or demilitarizing the region, which if you are anti-war, you should be for. There are people who are claiming they're anti-war. There are people that are claiming they're anti-imperialist, but they want to fight to the last Ukrainian. That is their position. And I'm asking you guys, no, I am begging you guys, how does that make sense? How can you call yourself an anti-imperialist? How can you call yourself anti-war if you're literally willing to fight to the last Ukrainian? Now, I want to share. Sorry, I'll tell you, I'm coming over a cold. So I want to share this clip. This comes from Chomsky, who he has a lot of takes I didn't like for a while recently. But even he acknowledges this situation. Now, this is what Aaron Mate shared. This is a very interesting clip because this is what the liberal establishment completely forgot. So this is what Aaron Mate said, because Chomsky is citing the person that Aaron Mate interviewed. How interesting is that? So Noam Chomsky is watching the Gray Zone? No, for real, check this out. This is actually a good breakdown by Chomsky here. Let's listen to this.
What is our goal? Do we want to escalate the war? More Ukrainians die? More destruction? Or do we want to move towards a peaceful negotiated settlement? One of the most respected individuals in the US diplomatic corps, Ambassador Chas Freeman, highly respected, properly individual with a wonderful record. A couple days ago, he came out in an interview and said, US policy seems to be to fight.
The interview that he's talking about, by the way, is the interview that Aaron Mate did. And Aaron Mate called it, he was like, yo. So come on, man. Charles, how do you see the Gray Zone? You get some things wrong. But anyway, let's continue the video. Let's continue.
The Russians to the last Ukrainian. That's the policy. We'll keep, if we've formulated no feasible goals that can lead to an exit from this tragedy. So we can keep pouring in arms, we're good at that, to escalate the fighting. More Ukrainians will die, more Russians will die, goes nowhere, just towards further escalation. Well, is there a possible diplomatic settlement? Yes, there is. Chas Freeman outlined it once again. Everyone knows what it is. The settlement, this has been going on for 30 years, I should say, not just started today. The settlement is, in rough outline, a neutralized Ukraine, not part of a military bloc, and an internal settlement that will guarantee the rights of the Russian-speaking minority, provide probably some form of federal solution like Switzerland, Belgium, others, in which minority groups have a degree of autonomy in their own regions. It's actually formulated in an agreement called Minsk II. Some version of that has to be the possible outcome. And as Freeman again stressed, if we don't want to just fight to the last Ukrainian, we have to offer Vladimir Putin an escape hatch. He has to have some way to escape from this without what amounts to suicide. If we tell him, or if we send our current message, you're going to face war crimes trials. Nothing you can do about it. Sanctions will continue no matter what happens. We're telling him, fight on to the last Ukrainian. It might sound bold and, Winston Churchill impersonation. Sounds very heroic, but for the Ukrainians, it's a death warrant.
Now, you guys know I'm more of a Michael Prenti guy, but Chomsky, he always been good on this particular issue of Ukraine. He called out Obama and their policy at the time. He always been good on this particular issue. So isn't it funny how liberals, they listen to Noam Chomsky when they tell people to vote for Democrats every 4 years, but then they ignore everything in between. Like he said, at the policy that the liberal establishment has right now, and this is what Zelenskyy is promoting. Zelenskyy is promoting this. Fighting to the last Ukrainian. It's a death wish. They're spreading propaganda, making people pretend that they are making gains against the Russian army. The Russian army obliterated Ukraine. And Twitter is literally censoring anyone who repeats this. Because they want to get people the false belief that Ukraine can somehow win a war against Russia. That can't happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. This shit was done immediately. They immediately had air superiority, air dominance. The Russia, and then at this point, they've been slow rolling this conquest in order to prevent as many civilian casualties as possible. But liberals and people and so many fake anti-imperialist progressives are pretending that they are anti-war by having the position of allowing as many Ukrainians to die. In order for what? In order to continue the eastern expansion of NATO and to keep Nazis armed. That's it. That's why they don't want Putin to win. They don't want to get Putin a geopolitical victory in order to accomplish those goals. Do you guys know how crazy that is? But so that's the Zelensky story. Josana, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I just feel like if you were saying that you were pro-Ukraine, and if you were saying you were anti-war and save Ukrainian refugees, why are you okay with the US pushing the war forward, escalating the conflict with more sanctions? Why don't you know that the sanctions are an act of war?
They sending weapons down to Ukraine. That's the bipartisan message. In fact, you have Republicans accusing Democrats, Democrats accusing Republicans of being too soft. Hey, Joe Biden, he's not sending enough weapons to Ukraine. If you elect me, I'll send more weapons. No, he's being soft. He's lying. There's no one who wants to send more weapons to Ukraine than me. That's what they're saying right now. It's a competition because, according to liberals, they want to arm Ukrainian grandmas so they can be slaughtered by Russians. So then they can say, hey, look, Putin is killing civilians. That is how much the Ukrainian people's lives matter to them. Their lives is literally just a way to generate an anti-Putin headline. Now let's go back to the story. Now you guys see how
You can't win a war with propaganda. You cannot.
Now, do you guys think I'm exaggerating? Because I'm able to read between the lines on these stories. Like when this came out very recently. Yeah, this came out yesterday. This is Zelensky's new thing. He's asking about what a post-Ukrainian society is going to look like. He said it's not going to be this liberal European state. In order for me to accomplish the goals of my Western masters, because Zelensky is a Western puppet, he's going to turn Ukraine into an Afghanistan, into a Gaza. Instead of accepting Putin's demand for independent Donbass, he would rather have a situation where they are second-class citizens. And that is literally what a lot of Zelensky supporters, the Western Ukrainians, the Azov Battalion, neo-Nazis, they are open about this. They're open about wanting to create a second-tier society for Muslims. A lot of people forget the Azov Battalion was talking about how they want to grease Muslims with pork fat, talking about killing them. And they also tying Romans to Roma people to Poles, Roman women, right? Now they also hate ethnic Russians. Man, it's crazy. Like, and then people find World War III. 70% Americans. Let's go back to 70% Americans think Putin's the enemy. I can't stop bringing that up. After everything we just told you guys, imagine thinking Putin is the enemy. Anyway.
I mean, imagining paying attention to this war, actually. Sorry. This is not our war. We have to use this moment to bring the changes we want to see. And maybe, okay, you want to pay attention to this war, pay attention to this war, but also see the children in Yemen.
Yes.
See the people in Afghanistan dying from starvation. See the people that are arrested by the border. See also the people that were bombed in Somalia. Let's see all the victims of war as the same. Can you do that? No.
And if you're consistent on that, I can't even hold a grudge. I can't get mad if you're standing with Ukrainian citizens, but you also stand with Palestinians. Do you guys remember that story of I covered this artist? It was a few streamers ago. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. Maybe I can. I think I remember what it was.
Yes, Troy, Eritrea. And also, how about the African students that couldn't leave Ukraine? Sorry, I was talking.
I'm sorry, I couldn't find it, but there was this she was like Instagram model. Fuck, I don't remember her name, but she put out a statement where she was like, I stand with the Ukrainian people and I stand with the Palestinian people. and then they censored her the part where she said she stand with the Palestinians. She didn't care that they said that she stayed with the Ukrainians, but she said she stayed with the Palestinians. They said that was anti-Semitic. Now I'm like, oh, okay, so she stayed with the Ukrainians, but she also mentioned the Palestinians. I'm not mad at that. But what we're saying is people who say I stand with the Ukrainians, but they could not give. Not only do they not give a damn about the Palestinians, they support it openly, right? So I don't know how people allow them to get away with that. Like if you consistent on it, it makes sense.
These are the two headlines, right? A police officer on horseback whipping a black refugee, right? A Haitian refugee. And then you have Ukrainians are always welcome and Joe Biden carrying a Ukrainian child. It's like I think if one thing this war is like helping people show their entire asses, they're white supremacists and they don't care anymore. They're saying that on our faces.
Yeah, too bad I won't be able to. I don't know what to search to find it. I reported on the channel before. It was pretty crazy. You can say free stand for Ukraine, but you can't say free Palestine. Damn, can't find it. Anyway, pretty crazy. I just want people to be consistent. And a lot of people who are using this to virtue signal, but as I mentioned before, I am unapologetically using my chance to. I have this platform, and as a Marxist, as a Black revolutionary, any opportunity I get to shift the Overton window to the left, I'm going to take it. So now you got people talking about Putin war crimes. I'm like, okay, good. Let's talk about Joe Biden's war crimes. Let's talk about the war crimes that you guys voted for. Let's talk about the war crimes that you guys support. Because I voted for the Green Party. I voted third party the last two elections. And I told people the reason why I'm voting third party is because Joe Biden's, Hillary Clinton's war crimes are a deal breaker. Now, I'm asking people who now have Putin derangement syndrome, if you now view war crimes as the worst thing someone possibly can do, there's a lot of people, they just now discovered this in 2022. If you are saying that Putin's a war criminal and this is why he's bad, but then you vote for a war criminal in 2024 and moving forward, you are a hypocrite scumbag that deserves no respect. No respect at all. Because I'm consistent. So are we now agreeing as a society that war crimes are beyond the pale because of what Putin did? That's how I want to talk about this story. I'm not going to join the liberals and their Putin derangement syndrome, stand with Ukraine bullshit. I'd rather take this time to call it their hypocrisy. So I want to give you the last words, Rosanna, and then we can wrap up. I think 90 minutes is pretty good, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to do this show on Tuesday. We wanted to do this today because this is kind of pilot. But I think you guys will see me at 9 p.m. Eastern usually on the channel, and on Tuesday, me and Josana, this will be our time slot on Tuesdays.
Yes.
Josana is very busy. She still does a lot for the channel, so we appreciate anything that she does for us. Because hey guys, FYI, a lot of us we don't get paid a lot for this shit. So Josana does a lot of work on the side, so we appreciate her helping us when she can. So expect us on Tuesday evening. Any last words, Josana? Anything else you want to say?
War Pilgrim asking,
Do we have a name?
yeah, do you like the outsider view?
Y'all like that?
Because we are outsiders.
See, some people will say, "Oh, Nick, you're American." I'm a Black Marxist. I am an outsider. We have been revolutionary blackout, guys. You're never gonna see us in any of these big YouTube shows. We've been blacklisted. You're not gonna see us on corporate media. You're not gonna see people promote us. You're not even gonna see people debate us. They'll debate Jackson High. They'll debate all these people. They will never give us a platform. So I consider myself an outsider. Fucking anyway, we're gonna have a lot of great people on this on our show as well. A lot of international perspective. Yeah, Josiah's the GOAT. Y'all gotta recognize.
No, but I'm happy that I'm getting so much love right now. So I just wanted to say thank you. A lot of people saying nice things, but I don't want to put them on the screen because then I'm a narcissist, right? Like, look, people love me. Yeah.
No, we okay with circle jerking at the end of the stream, okay? Anyway, if you guys want to support us, because Josana is doing her best, but we are working people, right? So if you want to support the channel, support us on Patreon. It helps out a lot. Like even the little bit that we got,
Yes.
it really does help, and it drives us to create more content. So please donate to Josana, donate to us on Patreon. That's how you that's how we continue to do this work, guys. You guys see we didn't post more clips because we got more people supporting us. So as we continue to grow, we can do more stuff. Me and Josana, we got plans on covering direct actions too as part of the show. Like Nick and Josana on the road. Can you guys imagine? Anyway, I want you guys
Actually, this Saturday, I will be in the Red Berets Action, Nick. So I'm gonna bring my microphone and maybe we can go live.
Yeah. You guys don't know Josana when she told y'all to get in the streets, cause she's in the streets. So Josana's on the ground reporter. We want to start doing that more as we grow as a
Yeah.
channel. I want to get back on the ground. So thank you for super sticker as
It is
well.
the action is going to be April 9th, 2 p.m. on Fidelis Building, 480 Cross Point Parkway. I can't say the name. New York. And Afin is
So
going to be one of the speakers.
If you guys don't know, Josana, how many languages do you speak?
I speak 4.
Meanwhile, my lazy ass speak 1.
So we're gonna have a challenge. We're gonna make Nick. We're gonna have him live learning Portuguese in this show too.
Yeah, I begged Josana to teach me Portuguese. It bothers me, man. I'll tell you, I'm hearing that. That because I'm a victim of American public education. Okay, I want to learn more than one language, but when you get older and you're adult, it's hard. It's harder. But I want to learn Portuguese. I want to learn Portuguese though. Anyway, when you guys hear Josana do these amazing streams, just know she's doing it in what, your 3rd language. So that's how amazing she is, by the way. So make sure you guys subscribe.
I'm embarrassed.
No, we hype each other up here. We hype each other up. I'm the biggest hype man in the channel. We upload
Nick
every single day.
Nick's a supporter of Black women, and I think it's beautiful.
Absolutely. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys tune in. Nick, Josana. This is a special Wednesday edition. Just a heads up. We will be doing this on Tuesday. We usually be doing this on Tuesday. But anyway, thank you guys. Did Nick and Josana sign out? Have a good night, guys.